Welcome to the Real Autism Podcast. Real as in relevant, effective, actionable living strategies and solutions for a better quality of life. Join your host, Alicia Gaucher Page, for some real conversations. Sponsored by J. Cole Autism Coaching.
And so for fathers out there, because I'm not really sure, maybe that's a question. So when you first got the diagnosis, and I'm saying as a father, because I mean, what's the saying? Men are from which one of y'all from Venus or Mars? But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think
we get what you're saying. Yeah.
I think we process things differently. So when we first get that diagnosis, what does a father feel like when you first get the diagnosis?
When I went to Autism Center, Marcus Autism Center, Jasmine was, I'm trying to remember, was she 4?
No, she was like 2.5. She was young.
She was attending I just know she was attending Russell Elementary over in Cobb County.
Yeah.
And when we were at the Marcus Autism Center the day prior, her teacher knew that we had to take her there. And so when I first heard the diagnosis of autism, it took me a while to process it. And so I was just replaying, okay, where do we go from here? What happens? You know, how am I going to protect her? So that protector mentality kicked in automatically. So in taking her to school to the next day, because I dropped her off at school, her teacher asked, her name was Miss Wendy. I don't even remember Wendy's last name. And Miss Wendy asked me, so what was the diagnosis? And when my eyes got watered, and she saw the hurt in my eyes. So she said, let's step out for a minute. And I was just in tears, man. It was hurt. I just felt like someone had just taken something away from me. And I felt like, okay, what is this going to look like in the future for her? What is her life's going to be like? And this is my daughter, this is my baby girl. What is her life's going to be like? And so when I was with the teacher that day, and I told her what the diagnosis was, I just cried. I cried like a baby, and I'm not embarrassed to say that. I'm man enough to say that I cried and it hurt. And from there, here we go. We're still on the journey. And I still pray for miracles. I still pray.
I appreciate that rawness and that vulnerability, because I think sometimes men feel like they can't be vulnerable to say that. But I think that makes you more of a man, honestly, that you can say that than somebody who's masking it. So anybody else have thoughts on how they felt?
So you want to go, Marcus?
Sure. I was a little bit different. I'm a Leo, so I'm very territorial, and I take pride in everything that is in my territory. And I tell my kids all the time, like, it wouldn't matter if they were purple, two toes. It wouldn't matter how they came to me. They're a blessing. They're a gift from God, and I'm gonna try to put them in the best situation I can. I felt like it was a challenge. I felt like it was like, okay, let's see what you do with this. Everyone around me was, the mother was, she was crying, like she couldn't believe it. And I think a little bit was like, I don't know if she dealt like it was like shame, or like she felt like maybe she did something wrong during the pregnancy. I don't know, like how she really felt, I just know that it was expressed through sadness. Like she felt sad for her. And I can't remember who told me, but I'll never forget the words. He said, don't feel sorry for her, because she doesn't feel sorry for herself. And
Mm.
Hearing that, it just it just made me like her sheepdog. It just made me like I'm gonna protect her. I'm gonna, do whatever I need to do. I'm gonna walk through a wall. I'm gonna dive out a window. Whatever it is, I'm gonna do it
Yeah.
because this is my gift. God gave me this gift, and He thinks I'm the person to be here for her.
Yeah.
And I wear it like a badge of honor. Like it sucks a lot. Oh man, it sucks a lot of the time. But I I wouldn't want any other children. Challenges or not. Like it is. I love them all. With every fiber in my body, and I feel like with even with my own challenges, like it was. Like it was meant for me to be here for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at least for me, it's I kind of look at it and I call it unspoken expectations. I realized to answer your question of what I thought when it was the diagnosis, because I didn't know what my expectations was, and my son's older, okay? So, but when we got the diagnosis, one, again, this is 17 and a half years ago, I heard autism, but I didn't know what it meant. I didn't really know. So it was one of these, let me start researching this. And we end up going to a psychologist. We met with a bunch of other families. And I'll never forget, we sat in this room. It might have been 6 other couples. And everyone's just talking about the diagnosis they just got. And what does this mean for life? And none of us understood it because at the time period, again, autism was so new. But what we did know is our children are different. Now, how they got there, that's a whole nother conversation with shots for another podcast, right? But we all had the same story. I will tell you that. Everyone in the room said their child was fine, milestones met, shot, regression within 2 to 2 weeks. So, another conversation. But for me, it was more because I didn't understand it. I didn't know. But then once I did understand, I said, well, you got to check yourself. Being an athlete and my thoughts of what I would do with my son and how he following my footsteps and me thinking I'd be his coach, I had to get over all that stuff and say, this is my child and that we're going to be on a different journey. And I never forget this psychologist I'm telling you about. She in this room, she said, do you guys want your children to exist or to thrive? And when she said that, that clicked in my head. Oh, my child's gonna thrive.
Yeah.
So we're willing to do anything. I think you asked me on the other podcast, Alicia, what we did. Well, we did it all. You name a therapy, supplements, diet changes, detoxes. We did it all because at that age, early on, we were just trying to make sure we get to thriving. Now, again, my daughter was diagnosed a year and a half, 2 years later. So at that point, it was more of a what you said, Marcus. We used to talk about me and my ex-wife were people of faith. We used to laugh and say, "Well, God gave us these kids for a reason,
Yeah.
because we both were psychologist majors. We both kind of think differently and read books on personality. So we realized, you know what? God got a sense of humor. He gave us these children for a reason because He knew we could handle it. So we kind of looked at it as a challenge, like you said, Marcus. But for me, I needed to do that to stay sane, to say, thank you, the Lord. And I would always pray to God and just say, you know what? You have a sense of humor, but you knew these were the children for us. So that's kind of how I looked at it.
Hey, Zuri, you bring up a good point. What I had to learn to do over time is to thank God for Jasmine and Coleman. I'm grateful to them. And I came to God one day. I was like, God, if this is what you have given me, please provide me with the resources. And I accept the challenge. And just like I feel the same way you feel, gentlemen. That every day is not the best. You do have your highs and your lows. You just have to dust yourself off and just keep it moving. That's it.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're on mute, Alicia.
April Fools was April 1st, not April was today. It wasn't today. My bad. So let's wrap up. So I can let you all get back to you all's lives. But if you had to share a strategy or solution that has helped you most in your journey with autism, what would that be?
Well, I'll start off because we're actually still in the strategy phase. I have to give a lot of credit to my soon-to-be wife because she comes from a very, organized background, and it's something that she really likes to do. The biggest thing is establishing something that is attainable, but it's got a little bit of a challenge, or maybe a gradient scale, and just being consistent. Like trying to, and I'm not the biggest one for consistency. Lord knows I'm not. So that's a struggle on, for me as well. But something that the ABA therapist and my wife have instilled is just, being consistent, doing the same things, get up, make your bed, get your clothes out, shower kind of at the same time. Just that consistency, it like once they get through the stubbornness and the all of the they get through whatever they're going through to get to achieving those goals, it it does build, like you're able to build on those things. Like, all right, now that you're doing this, now we're going to add this to it. Like, now that you can take your clothes down, now we're going to sort your clothes, now we're going to wipe off the table, now you're throwing your stuff away, now we're going to wipe off the table, and we're going to put the chairs back. So I just think consistency, a system that you can grow gradually, and it's something that that someone else can prompt. So it's not just you or the parent all the time. So something that's transparent and transferable, to someone else, that they can, like, this is how she does this. This is the strategy. Just having those in place, I think, it kind of helps, with the break, with the flare ups and the meltdowns and everything else
Mhm.
that goes
So,
along with it. You kind of just
definitely,
like, this is what they're supposed to be doing, so we can kind of just focus on that.
Yeah.
definitely. Siri, what about you?
Uh, it's funny you asked this question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Talked to a parent, I think it was Saturday, about this. And as we keep saying, it's a journey, right? There's so many things you don't know. So, three things I would say, not necessarily in this order, but one, you got to find some type of advocate, right? Especially if you get the diagnosis for early intervention, because it's a journey. You have no clue what's coming up next. You have no clue what to ask sometimes dealing with the school system or therapists or dietary things. So find an advocate, one that's affordable. There's so many out there that actually don't even charge you. Because just to give you an idea, I've been an advocate where people call me twice a week who've just had a diagnosis, and I just would tell them my journey and what I've done, no cost. So it is out there if you go through certain organizations. So that's one. Two, this may sound crazy, but your village, those that family, friends, whoever it may be that's in your circle, have them be involved in everything you do. Because if somebody asks me what's the number one thing that I've seen that's made people most stressful, it's really the village not believing in the things that they're doing as far as therapy, how they raise the kids. You need to whoop them kids, whatever you got to go through. So what happens is if you don't have your family and the friends that are around you, your village, to be a part of these meetings, sometimes they won't believe it from you. They'll just tell you, you ain't raising them kids right. You need to be more stern and you need to pop them. And you'll kind of believe that in a sense. So you have to have them be involved into sessions and meetings and so forth. So that's the main thing. And the other thing is just most neurodivergent kids, they have some type of gut allergy. So I tell everyone, I don't care what you think, do an allergy test, food test, so you can see what issues they have. Because if they have any issues, neurology, if anything in their gut, yeast or anything, that it'll affect them more than it will affect us, or it'll look differently. We may get a headache, but guess what? We can still move forward. If they have an issue, they're just doing stimming, things of that nature, but we don't know why. It's all about their stomach. So whatever you're doing, the first thing you need to do, I changed what I said. The first thing you need to do is go get an allergy test, food test, so you just kind of know what to take out, because that'll help in any aspect. And then after that, it's the village and just kind of making sure they're a part of the journey. and then a family advocate.
Yeah.
That's a whole podcast by itself. Good health.
Yeah.
Cedric, what about you as we wrap up?
I would agree with both what Marcus and Zuri both said. 110%. The consistency is definitely important. The buy-in from the village, because it's easy for families and friends to become judgmental and want to give this offhand advice, and they're not in the journey with you. They're just sitting on the sidelines, judging and just making and observing. Keeping your kids, keeping them active. You know, not allowing their minds to be idle, to get into stuff. Whether it's going out for a walk, taking them to the park, getting them involved in some type of outside play or activity, reading to them, teaching, writing, just keeping them active throughout the day. Continue to keep their mind moving and working, so they can develop, so they can grow. Getting them around others as well, not sheltering them from at home. Get them out in the public. And if they walk up, like Jasmine has a habit of walking up to strangers and if she has an item on her hand, she want that person to play with them. And there are moments where I have to explain to them what's going on, and most people have been acceptable. They do see that. So there are a lot of people out here that do see that, but when you explain to them what's going on, they are okay with that. The last thing I would like to include is communication with your co-parent or a co-guardian. Communication is so important. I know Marcus had mentioned and congratulations on your wedding that's coming up. That your future spouse, she's very understanding, and she's going to be a great help to you. That communication is so important when it comes to the development or changes that you want to make with your kid, with your children, because you're in this together. So Alicia and I, as co-parents, co-guardians, we're on this journey together. So when they're with me on the weekends, I have to communicate with her what's going on, so she would know what to expect, and she does the same thing for me when the kids are coming with me, if I'm traveling out of town to go see family. So communication to me is a common denominator to everything when it comes to the journey. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you all so much for joining the Real Autism Podcast, where we share relevant, effective, actionable living solutions and strategies. It's been great having you on the stage, and keep doing what you do and being an inspiration to fathers all around the world. So you guys have a good night.
Thanks.
Thank you. Gentlemen, have a good night.
Too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Real Autism Podcast with Alicia Gaucher-Page. We'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsors of this episode: J. Cole Autism Coaching, helping caregivers navigate to a better quality of life; AGP Organizational Coaching, helping people develop effective strategies, systems, and solutions to organize information. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube, or just visit us at jcoleadvocacy.com.